your mental toolbox weekend
What'd she say?
about a year ago.
We can't hear you, mate. We just hold it closer.
Is that better? Oh,
How long ago did you meet us?
about a year ago.
About a year ago, and you're pretty crook?
Yeah, I've had this autoimmune disease I'd had for about 12 years from travelling in South America.
Okay. Serious crook?
Yeah, it was. Generally, I'd be quite well, but about 2 or 3 times a year, I'd get a bout of. I couldn't walk properly. All my limbs would swell up. I'd get like a chronic fatigue, and it would last for about 6 weeks each time. And
Cool.
Yeah, I was bloody crook then.
Beauty, thanks. And so we got involved, we did some work, and you went away and did your homework that I gave you, and how are you now?
Well, I'm cured. It's
Sorry?
fantastic. I'm cured.
You're cured. How are you going financially?
Well, another thing that I did is I sold a business that I had that I wasn't happy with, started a new one, and I've made more money in the 8 months I've been running that than I did in the previous 4 years.
Cool. Where are you on the happiness scale?
Oh, really happy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. In
Okay.
fact, that's something that friends have commented on.
And what about relationships?
Well, I've always had a really beautiful relationship with my husband. We both worked with you, and I think the nicest thing out of that is I've lightened up on him.
Uh-huh.
I don't try to make him into me anymore, and yeah, it's fantastic. It's
Cool.
very good.
Thanks, Janet. Thanks a lot. Good. Here's a funny thing, you know, we asked Janet about all 4. We didn't ask her about one, we asked her about all 4. She was already pretty good at relationships. So she would have been happy. When I first met her, she was happy about the relationship and willing to wear the other stuff because the relationship was good. And that's the problem. Most of us are prepared to wear the less necessary because we've got the most important part. Does that make sense? But we need to have it all. It's possible to have it all. So, how many of you know somebody who can make a small fortune out of a large one? Yep. All right. So, what do you reckon happens to lottery winners? If you just took a wild guess, what do you reckon happens to lottery winners? Back to square one within 24 months with a trail of broken relationships behind them. This time, their brother doesn't talk to them anymore. Have any of you heard about somebody who's made a large fortune out of nothing? It's got to do with the programming. Have you ever wondered which kind of programming you got? Financial programming. If I had a test for you, would you want to do it, or would you rather stay in the dark? We'll do it now? All right, okay. Hands up if you started the day with $100 in your pocket, you've got to the end of the day, there's $5.36 left and you're not too sure what happened. Guess what kind of programming you've got? In other words, we need to accumulate rather than have it vanish. How many of you can make money vanish? That's an issue. That's an issue because, as Mary and I found out, the amount that you can make vanish is exponentially large. Does that make sense? Okay. If we look at happiness, you know, we're just kind of running through this list. Do any of you know somebody who's going to be miserable tomorrow and they've made the decision already? What a classic, eh? Do any of you know someone that you're going to bump in tomorrow and they're going to be great, but you already know that they will be? Yeah, so that's a state of mind as well. What about relationships? You know, if we, rather than look at your relationships, if you look at somebody else, if I said to you I've met a fair few people called Mary Bloggs who are victims of domestic violence, would you know who I was talking about? Okay, if we grab Mary Bloggs and we get her out of that situation as a matter of saving her from another beating, and we put her in a room with 1,000 available men in her age category and say, take your pick, what will happen? So we tend to repeat things. And if you can't get off the cycle, you tend to stay on it. Does that make sense? And all of those things are a blockage. You know, Mary has difficulty realising that she's entitled to a great life. She feels like she has to earn it. And once we can get her to understand that it's her birthright and she can feel it inside of herself, then Fred, the violent man, suddenly changes or leaves. It's an awesome concept, isn't it? You can change the behaviour of the people around you by changing yourself. Would you like to see that happen? Yes. Rightio.